The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Today, this saying is synonymous to China. Prosperous, rich, highly developed country is decaying fast, losing all its power. Billions of dollars are fleeing the country every day. Real estate crisis is closing in, multiple protests on the streets. The country is handicapped by sanctions and politics it got itself entangled into. How can the fastest growing economy in the world be so fragile? How can its collapse affect our lives? That's exactly what I will discuss today. So why is the second largest economy in the world failing? The majority of experts are saying four main reasons: zero COVID policy, Taiwan crisis, real estate crisis, and sanctions on Russia. Let's look at each one in detail, and maybe we will be able to predict the future. Zero COVID policy for some time has been considered the crown jewel of the Chinese Communist Party. The country that brought COVID in the first place was the first one to almost fully eradicate it. Zero tolerance policies seemed effective at first, but as it always happens, long-term outcomes were not accounted for. You have all seen those videos of totally empty streets of Beijing, drones flying everywhere, scanning faces of law violators, etc. It seemed a wise decision at first and did yield very good results in terms of disease control. Millions of workers are isolated, factories are stopped, global shortage of everything. The world's largest factory was crippled by one stroke of a pen. The economy wasn't prepared for such a drastic changes. The whole success of China was based on cheap labor, and when there's no workers, well, no one will invest in it. The market just tanked. Investors have lost enormous sum of money, and China was doing nothing. In September, it seemed like a production was recovering, but investors are still skeptical. But that's not even the worst part. During these 2 years, it has become something only a madman could come up with. China is taking PCR tests from fish, crabs, and even hippos. And in a country with over 1.4 billion people, some will surely not be satisfied with this. Huge crowds of protesters continue to roam streets while police are expressing violence. This will surely not go unnoticed among Chinese people, so we can expect to hear more similar news. These protests are the start of something big, possibly terrible. Another huge reason of economic downfall is the Taiwan crisis. Long story short, Taiwan wants to be independent from China, but Beijing won't stop emancipating the newly born country economically and politically. The silent conflict between communist China and democratic self-governing Taiwan has been fueled by up and unplanned visit of Nancy Pelosi. Escalated tension between two countries did not go easy on the Chinese economy, especially in the light of all military-related news, such as plans for invasion to Taiwan and military drills near the Taiwanese border. The official US support for Taiwan was announced almost instantly, followed by harsh response from China. Beijing has implemented a pack of sanctions against the West, which forced many companies to halt their actions in China. The fleeing of Western companies has already started to damage the economy, but with time more and more companies will leave China. This means the largest factory will have nothing to work for. Even now, when the armed conflict between China and Taiwan stays only on paper, investors don't get solid ground and guarantees, which doesn't help with investments. Last but not least are the sanctions imposed by Western world on Russia. Russia has always been one of the largest raw material exporters, and China is extremely dependent on Russia's crude oil. These sanctions have hit equity markets around the world, substantially increasing the prices of commodities. Moreover, after Russia's invasion, the list of sanctions is so big that everyone is too afraid to work with Russia. This puts an enormous pressure on China, since it's the world's largest crude oil importer. Almost entire production system in China is based around crude oil and imported materials. No materials mean no production. Plummeting production is deadly to production-oriented countries. Also, let's not forget about political relations between China and Russia. The Chinese government has been accused of aiding Russia in this war. If this gets supported by evidence, all the sanctions power of Western world could be targeted at China. Foreign investors see the perspective of China being isolated and are seriously considering substantial investments in the Chinese economy. This doesn't look good, believe me, especially for CIS members. Already low salaries becoming even lower. The inflation is already skyrocketing. People feel powerless, unable to withstand these trials. How has your life changed in 2022? Type your opinions in the comments below. You all remember the housing bubble in 2008, right? The crisis in the housing market that is about to hit China is even bigger, much bigger. The country is so big and its population is so large that affordable housing in huge agglomerates has become a #1 priority for developers. Developers have have been selling unexisting flats and houses for years now. Millions more are refusing to pay their mortgages for pre-sold properties. Thousands of developers are going under, stocks are plummeting, and the government can't do a single thing. The special initiative called 3 Red Lines was implemented in 2020. But the results are controversial. As of 2022, a couple of largest developing companies have been bankrupted. Numerous companies are still in tremendous debts, unable to deliver properties. Top rating agencies estimate that Beijing needs approximately 800 billion yen to rescue the market. But China doesn't have such money, which is only proven by swiftly decreasing funding and incentivizing programs to developers. Just think about it. America's 2008 bubble has left a gaping hole in the world's economy. What do you think will happen when the Chinese one bursts? It seems like the Chinese economy is going through a rough patch right now, and there is no evidence that it's getting better anytime soon. Zero COVID, housing bubble, risk of sanctions, and a dozen of smaller things are making it very hard for China to show any growth. And we all live in a world where countries are intertwined together. How can China's demise affect the world? If the economy fails, the world will be hit in the head. The whole market of goods will crumble. The tech industry will stagnate. The scale of crisis we will see anywhere is impossible to imagine. And the CIS countries? The death of China will probably hit these countries the hardest. CIS countries are poor, especially if we look at an average citizen. It will take years for these countries to recover if China fails. Those are the only speculations and predictions, but the wise person will take that into account. Well, that's all we have for today. Remember, a wise person sees opportunity where the poor sees chaos. If this video was interesting, then hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to find out about economic changes in the world. See you in the next one.